In the closing years of the 14th century, pirates plagued the northern seas, preying on merchant fleets under the banners of kings and queens. To combat this menace, the Knights of the Teutonic Order rose to the challenge, leading to the famed Knights versus Pirates War of 1398. This video is sponsored by Odoo. Stay tuned to discover how you can quickly and easily create a professional website for free. The Black Death had swept through Europe earlier in the century, claiming up to half the population. Though the plague would occasionally resurface, the survivors carried on. Merchants ventured across the seas, peasants tended the fields, and knights resolved disputes between rival crowns. Among these, Queen Margaret of Denmark vied for power against Albert, the Swedish king of the German Mecklenburg dynasty. In 1389, Queen Margaret's forces defeated King Albert, imprisoning him in a castle surrounded by moats in southern Sweden. The city of Stockholm, however, remained loyal to the captured king. Lacking the resources to oppose Margaret's dominance, the House of Mecklenburg turned to desperate measures, enlisting mercenaries to smuggle supplies, known as victuals, through the blockade of Stockholm. These mercenaries also raided Danish shipping lanes, uniting nobles, peasants, and opportunistic freebooters under the banner of the Victual Brothers, supported by allies who offered safe harbors and markets for their plunder. The Victual Brothers thrived as sanctioned marauders. As Queen Margaret began negotiating Albert's conditional release, the legitimacy of the Victual Brothers began to erode, and their ranks became increasingly unruly. Some members raided coastlines, including Bergen, Norway, while others turned to mercenary work or indiscriminate piracy, targeting ships regardless of allegiance. Despite their supposed loyalty to King Albert, they became notorious for terrorizing the seas and disrupting trade routes. A contemporary chronicle lamented that they threatened the entire sea, robbed both friend and foe, and closed the way to Scania, nearly halting the vital trade of salted herring. Margaret eventually freed Albert in 1395 after securing a promise of payment in silver, subsequently uniting Scandinavia under her rule and that of her grandnephew. Yet the Victual Brothers refused to yield their dominance of the seas, consolidating their power on Gotland, particularly in its fortified city of Visby. Following the death of Albert's son, Eric, in 1397, an event that ended any political pretense of the pirates' cause, the Victual Brothers came under the leadership of Captain Sven Sture, continuing their reign over the Baltic waters. Sven Sture, initially sent by Queen Margaret to govern Gotland on behalf of Denmark, turned against his queen and allied himself with the very pirates he was meant to suppress. Under his leadership, the Victual Brothers rebranded themselves as friends of God and enemies of all the world, earning widespread infamy. Recognizing the danger posed by the pirate stronghold on Gotland, Conrad von Jungingen, the Grand Master of the Teutonic Order, declared, "The island is in the middle of the sea, so that much evil can be done if it comes into the hands of evil men." The Teutonic Order, a crusading brotherhood established 2 centuries earlier in the Holy Land, had since shifted its focus to the Baltic. Armed with a legacy of conquest, the Order wielded their Black Cross as a symbol of dominance over a vast, embattled territory. Their Prussian cities prospered through ties to the Hanseatic League, a powerful network of merchants and towns that once ensured the security of northern trade routes. However, even the League now seemed unable to curb the marauding Victual Brothers. The pirates found refuge on Gotland during the winter months, offering an opportunity for decisive action. The Teutonic Order assembled an invasion force of 4,000 men from Prussian towns, including 50 Teutonic knights. These knights and their hired soldiers reflected the evolving face of medieval warfare. Gone were the iconic great helms of earlier eras. The Order now favored bassinets, kettle hats, and the increasing use of plate armor alongside mail, padded armor, and limb protection. Their arsenal also embraced cutting-edge weaponry, from bombard cannons to primitive firearms, signaling their adaptation to the changing tides of battle. With discipline, technology, and determination, the Teutonic Order prepared to confront the pirate menace on Gotland, aiming to bring an end to the chaos that had gripped the northern seas. The Grand Master assembled this great force in secrecy. Margaret was not to know of their operation. Her power in the region had grown, and they would not permit her an additional claim to Gotland. When the seas calmed on March 17th, 1398, the knights and their men in 84 ships set a course for Gotland. The Vidal brothers caught wind of the coming fleet. The brethren assumed direct command of the walls and towers of Visby. This pirate garrison numbered around 400, while an equal number of them were distributed among 3 castles. Though hardly a proper army, the pirates knew violence well and surely possessed a range of worthy arms and armor, properly acquired or stolen. On the 21st, the Teutonic fleet reached the shores of Gotland, not far from one of the pirate castles. The sources suggest their landing was met by the enemy. Blades, spears, and crossbow bolts would have felled any pirates on the beach before the army clattered past the slain and established camp. Winter still lingered on the isle. The air was like steel, and dunes of snow covered the land. The invaders could hardly transport their artillery, but they would nonetheless undertake the march north toward Visby. A sense of doom preceded them. Sven Sture and the Mecklenburg official Duke John began negotiations with the knights. The Teutonic fleet meanwhile blocked the harbor of Visby, and through the snow the gleaming army emerged outside of the walls. No path of escape remained. Food was too scarce for a siege, and the common folk chafed under the rule of the Vidal brothers. The army forced their way into Visby in a frightful spectacle. Terms were reached on April 5th. The pirates were to evacuate the island and leave all their goods. Their castles would be burned, and when the sun set on April 7th, any pirate who yet lingered on Gotland would suffer the penalty of death. Thus, in the days following, Sven Sture and 400 Vidal brothers evacuated while the army swept over the land. The smoke of ruined pirate haunts streamed the sky while the blood of outlaws was spilled. These were the erstwhile servants of the king, hired and now disposed of for political ends. How swiftly could the changing will of the crown make a pirate out of a privateer? The knights had conquered Gotland in only a matter of weeks, but the expedition was costly, and the order was ever occupied by warfare on the continent and dissent within their ranks. Margaret sacked Gotland a few years later, and the Teutonic Order ceded the island to her in 1408. Albert, having never paid the silver, was forced to relinquish Stockholm. The Vidal brothers, or what remained of their fragmented ranks, lingered in the fading edges of the gray seas, surviving as thieves and fugitives. Over time, their exploits dissolved into the shadows of folklore, with tales like that of Klaus Storbeker, a notorious yet noble pirate, who was eventually captured and executed along with his crew. For pirates, the arrival of order and peace on the ocean signaled the end of their dominance. Yet, history would eventually offer new, less guarded waters, and a new age of piracy would dawn with the discovery of a larger world. Speaking of opportunities, let me tell you about Odoo. My brother Joe pours countless hours into creating the stunning digital paintings featured in these videos. It's a true passion project. But when it comes to building websites, we prefer simplicity and efficiency. That's why we're thrilled to recommend Odoo's website builder. Whether you're launching a business or sharing your passion, a professional website is essential, and Odoo makes it fast, easy, and completely free. With unlimited hosting, support, and a free custom domain for a year, it's the perfect tool to promote your brand. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.